Hi YouTube, Tim Uckert here. In this video, we're going to create a program, and I have the program right here, where we enter the limit of numbers that the Fibonacci sequence can go up to. So let me show you how it works. So let's say I put in 100, and I click on Submit, and you see the Fibonacci sequence that is less than 100 is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89. There are 12 numbers in the Fibonacci sequence that are less than 100. Okay, so we're going to create this program. I have this program running on my local machine, and I have PHP 8 installed. I'll leave a link to a good article discussing how to install PHP 7.4 on Debian 10, which is what I run on this Chromebook. In case you're interested, all you have to do to get PHP 8 installed is in the end, when they're installing PHP 7.4, you just switch that number to 8.0. Okay, and that seemed to work well for me, at least. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a text editor, and we're going to add a folder. Okay, so let's add a folder. Let's call it Fibonacci PHP -YT. You'll see the Fibonacci PHP is the one where I created the program. And let's create that. Okay, and let's click OK down here. And then I'm just going to type in A, and we're going to enter in the first file. So let's call that Fibonacci.php. And yep, that'll be good. Create a couple more files. The other one will be form.php, and then another file which will be formhandler.php. Okay, we're going to go back to that Fibonacci file first, and let me get the editor. Let me make it a little bit larger for you so you can see it a little bit better. Put that at 20 there. Okay, did that not take? That might not have taken. Hold on one sec. Oh yeah, we got to put this here as 20 as well. And yeah, now we got big font. Okay, cool. All right, so I have Emmet on this, so I'm just going to type HTML and then expand that with Emmet. And I want to also put a viewport tag here. I'm going to use Bootstrap for this also. So I do want the viewport tag, and you always want that anyways. So let's say here width equals device dash width, initial scale equals 1.0. You really want this tag for getting it looking good on smaller devices. So, mobile optimization, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to give it a title. We'll just call this Fibonacci PHP. Okay. Let's make a little comment here. I'm going to add in the Bootstrap 5 CEN. Okay, so we'll just make a comment, and then I'm going to go search Bootstrap 5. And we copy the CSS. Now for this, we really don't need the JavaScript, but I think I'm going to, let me toggle soft wrap here. I think what I'm going to do is just put that in as, good practice. So let's just put Bootstrap JS bundle CDN and make a comment for that. And then we'll go right down here and get the Bootstrap bundle and paste that in. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at our web page a little bit and see kind of the format that we need. Okay. So I'm going to go back here to this, and I don't want to be on form. I want to be on the opening page. So we have this form here with this number input, a submit button, and we might actually even style the submit button a little bit. And then we have this paragraph. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a div with a class of container. And then within that div, I'm going to have a class of row. And then within that div, I'm going to have a class of column and a breakpoint of medium 4, and also a class of offset with a breakpoint of medium of 4. Okay, that's going to help kind of center it a little bit. Okay, because Bootstrap is built on a 12-column system. So if you have a width of 4 and your offset at 4, that means you have 4 on the other side as well, so you're kind of centered. Okay, so now I'm going to create a form, and inside the form, I'm going to have an input. Oh, no, sorry. I'm going to have a label. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have a div, and then I'm going to have a label, and then an input. Okay, and it didn't expand everything. So this emit version sometimes doesn't expand everything. Okay, it does give me some options here. Let's take a look at this. So form class, I'm going to leave that blank for now. I'm not going to give it a class. The action, I'm actually going to have form.php as the action. So that's going to redirect to that. Method is post, that's good. And now I want a div. And in that div, I'm going to give a class of margin bottom 3. Okay, that's going to give a little margin bottom to the class. I'm going to have a label. This is going to be for, we're going to say the label is for the limit. And we'll just say, we'll actually just leave it blank, but knowing that the limit is there. And the next thing we're going to do is an input. And the input's going to be a number. The name, we're going to have to give it this name limit. And we're not going to have a value, but let's switch this to ID. We'll also give it an ID of limit in case you want to target it. I'm going to have another div with a class of MB3, so margin bottom 3, and another input. And this type is going to be submit. The name is going to be submit, and the ID, let's again give it an ID of submit. We'll, let me close the side window there so you can see a little bit better. Let's give it a class. Now, this will make it a little bit better than the other one. So BTN and BTN primary. Okay, and that'll make it a little bit Bootstrap styled. Up in the input, I want to give this one a class as well, and I'm going to give that a class of form control. Okay, and we'll save where we're at right now. And let's see. So, okay, so we look okay. We also need, at the top here, we need a paragraph right above here. So we have a paragraph, and we're going to say, let's just copy this because we're doing this. So I'm going to copy and paste that in, and leave a space there. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is, since we know how this works, I had a local server running. I'm stopping that. I'm going to cd out of this directory, cd into Fibonacci php-yt, and then I'm going to start a server by typing php space -s for server space localhost where I want it, :8000. Okay, so that server is started now. Okay, so we're going to go up. So this, we'll close that out. We'll start afresh, and I'll just type localhost 8000. And I had that one as index, so I have to type Fibonacci.php. Okay, so now here we are. One more thing. Okay, so that was pushed down a little bit. So to push this down, I'm going to go up here and add the class of margin top 5, and how about padding top 5? And that should push it down a little bit. Let's refresh, and there we go. We have it pushed down a little bit. It's nice. And you see the submit button is styled. It's looking pretty cool. All right, so yeah, if you just wanted to do it at localhost 8000, you'd put index, which is what I did in the other program, but whatever. Anyway, so now we're going to work on the form.php page. Again, I'm going to type HTML and expand it to get an HTML framework. Let's go here and just copy some of the stuff. We need the viewport tag too. Go down here. Okay, and I also want to toggle soft wrap on this file. It's got spaced over a little bit odd, so let's just early in the morning. Yeah, move that back. Okay, up here I want the viewport, so let me just make this a viewport tag. Again, content's going to be width equals device dash width, initial scale equals 1.0. Okay, title, let's call this form, PHP form, I don't know. All right, anyway, so we got a title for that. That's what will appear, the little tab in the browser above that. Again, we'll go down here just for good measure. Copy in the JavaScript. Here's our Bootstrap bundle. Okay, so now we want the form to handle this. So we're going to start with a div with a class of container. Again, let's do margin top 5, padding top 5. Okay, below that, we're going to have another div with a class of row. Okay, below that, we'll have another div with a class of column, breakpoint medium 4, and then offset, breakpoint medium 4. And then below that, we're going to now include the output. Okay, and the output is actually going to come from the PHP handler file. So I'm going to type PHP, and we're going to just say include once, and then the name of the file, which is going to be form handler.php, and we'll hit save. And then we're going to go over to our form handler file. Okay, and let's open up a PHP tag. And we got the opening and closing PHP tag. So first thing we want to do is check that the person has submitted the form. The way we do that is with this if statement. So we say if is set, we use a function is set, then the super global post, and then do square brackets submit. So if they click the submit button, basically, then we want to set a variable, which is our limit. So we're going to do a $sign and say limit equals. Okay, so now what we want to do is the limit is going to equal this, the post limit. All right. So again, super global post square brackets limit. Okay. And now, so we got our limit set, our number set. I'm going to get some coffee. Woo. All right. Okay, so anyways, so what we want to do now, we will create a class, and let's call this class Fibonacci. And we're going to use the keyword public and then limit. Okay, and then we're going to have a function which we call, let's call it calc fib, and we're going to take in the limit, and then in the function we're going to say this, and then an arrow, limit equals the limit. Okay, and then we'll go down, we'll go through our functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a few variables that we need in this function to work. So we're going to need a variable for the limit array, so, or for the Fibonacci array. So we're going to call that fib r, and that's going to equal an array. And we're going to start with the values 0 and 1 in there, because we're going to assume someone puts a higher number than 1. Okay. But those are the first two numbers in the Fibonacci array, or Fibonacci sequence. All right. So, all right. So the next thing we're going to do is create a variable called next item. I'm going to initially set that to 0, and then I'm going to do a while loop. So I'm going to say while the next item is less than, then I'm going to use this and then limit while it's less than that. Okay, so what do we want to have that happen when it's less than that? Well, what we want to do is we want to calculate the next item, okay? So the next item here is going to equal, it's going to equal the array, so the Fibonacci array at the index, and we're going to use count, and then, so that's for the length of the Fibonacci array, and then -1. That's going to give us the last item in the array, and then we want to add that, because the way the Fibonacci sequence works, you add the previous two numbers to get the next number. So we want to add that to the Fibonacci array, and then count, and we're going to do, again, the length of the Fibonacci array. So that's count fib array, and then -2. Okay. And then what we want to do now is, now we want to take the Fibonacci array, and so we want to do array underscore push, and we're going to push into the Fibonacci array the next item. Okay. All right, so we're saving it so far. Okay, so so what do we want to do now? Well, what we want to do now is, so we've got that while loop running. So after a while, that's going to stop, depending on what number you put. Well, it's going to stop whatever number you put in. Next, we're going to now start to print them out. Okay, so what we're going to do is a for loop. So I'm going to say for, and then we'll say I equals 0. I is less than count, so less than the length of the Fibonacci array. And then we're going to have -1 here, because the last time through this loop, actually next item is going to add these two, and it's going to get larger than the limit. So we don't want that last value, so that's why I put a -1 there. And then we're going to increment up I through this loop. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to echo this stuff out, okay? So what we can do is, we'll first start off, we can echo some paragraph, and then some kind of sentence like this is, or how about I say this, the Fibonacci sequence less than, with values less, with values less than, and then, okay, then we want to concatenate on, and I'll just move this down for formatting, concatenate on this limit, and then concatenate another space, is, okay, and then is colon space. Okay, so now, actually, we want this above the for loop, because otherwise it's going to go through each time. So let me X that out, put that above here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. All right, so now when we're going through the for loop, now we want to echo. Okay, so we want to say if, first off. So if, then we'll say count. No. Sorry. If I is less than the last number, okay? So I'm going to say count, and then fib array -2, because the last number, we have to go one less than that. So if that's the case, then we're going to echo. I'll show you why I'm doing this in a minute. We're going to echo the Fibonacci array with index I, and then we're going to concatenate on a comma and a space, okay? Else, what we're going to do is we are going to echo, spell that right, echo the Fibonacci array, again at index I, but the concatenation is going to be different. So we're just going to concatenate on a period at the end. Okay. So let's keep going. So I think we've got most of our stuff, but the one other thing we wanted to add was the number of items in the Fibonacci sequence that was less than, or the number of items that was less than the limit. Okay, so I want to go back up here and we'll just create a variable, call it num of items, and set that equal to 0. And then in the end of the for loop here, every time we run through, we're just going to increment num of, this should be items, num of items. Okay, and we're just going to increment that up. Okay, and then we're going to get out of the for loop, and let's first echo the end of the paragraph. So let's close the paragraph. Okay, and then let's echo another paragraph start. So we'll say something like the number of items less than, concatenate on this arrow limit, concatenate is, concatenate, go to the next line, space in for some formatting, is that's going to be the num of items variable. So num, go down here, num of items, and then concatenate values or something. I don't know. Hopefully my grammar will work out there at the end. Okay, so we're out of the function now, and we probably want to close the paragraph as well. Okay, so we're out of the function, and now we've got to create an object. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say, let's say limit 1. So we'll have a variable limit 1 equals new Fibonacci. Okay, and then we'll say limit 1, and we're going to use an arrow here and run this function that's in here, which we call a method. So it's calcfib limit. Okay, and all right, and that should be our program. And we're bringing it into the form, so we should be all good. Let's test it now. So we want to refresh, and let's just put in some number. Let's put in 100, submit, and you see here that says the Fibonacci sequence with values less than 1,000 is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89. The number of values less than 100 is 12 values, okay? So if we want to go back to the Fibonacci, we can change our number. And we can enter something cool, like let's enter a 1 with 9 zeros, so 1 billion, right? And submit it. And we'll see the number of Fibonacci sequence with values less than 1 million is, or 1 billion rather, is this, all these numbers. And the number of items less than 1 billion is 45 values. Probably should be R. But anyway, so yeah, so this program works nicely. It's a cool, fun program to write. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like watching this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, as it really helps the channel grow and encourages me to continue to make videos like this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.